part of my Siu Nim Tau tutorial. This is Ben Ken here at Wing Chun DC. So for this part, this is the second half of the Siu Nim Tau. I like to split the forms up into two. I like to split the first form up into two parts. Mostly because I have a really bad memory, so this is how I kind of learn forms. As for someone who's, I would say I'm formally challenged, form challenge, I don't know how you would say it, but anyway, I'm averse to doing forms because I have to remember lots of different movements, and my brain doesn't really work that way. So I have to break them down and to learn them into separate parts. Anyway, that's why I've broken them down. Anyway, here's the second part of the Siu Nim Tau. And in this clip, I'm going to do it front facing. So that's with my legs. You can see the mouse here. My legs are going to be shoulder width apart. And I'm going to continue off where from the last video. So I'm going to play it through, then I'm going to provide commentary on what I'm doing. Okay, we'll start now. Okay, so I'm going to rewind that, and I'm going to talk about exactly what I'm doing here. So again, front facing forward, I've got my base here. As you can see, I'm going to move my feet apart. It's quite good to do this little shift here. So the feet, your toe, there we go. Your feet are together like this. Then you hit, so there, the first of all, your toes come out, and then your heels come out, and that should be pretty much exactly, your heel should be directly under each shoulder. So that's just your basics. My legs are straight. Again, this is Jin, my instructor's method, where the legs are much straighter to achieve that kind of interconnectedness in your whole body, so there's no bends in the knee, so that when you're absorbing pressure, the pressure doesn't get stuck in your knees or in your quad and your leg muscles. That when pressure comes into your body, it should go straight down into the heels. Again, you'll notice that when I pull back, I really try to pull my fist back as far as I can to get my shoulders back. And then here we're going to do, so there's a lot of debate over what these movements are. These going back, pressing down. Some people say that they're, this is attacking someone from behind, when they're behind, breaking a grip. Same when you come in front, and then you're chopping two people at the same time. Here like this. I don't think that my own personal take on this is that when you're doing these movements here, when you're doing, I look at these as stretches. You're stretching your body, right? So you're in your stance, your shoulders are down, your pelvis is tucked in like that, and your legs are kind of straightening, and they're quite a little bit, there's some tension in the legs and in your thighs here. Not a lot. You're not tensing the muscles. You're just active. They're just active. So when you're doing these movements, what you're doing is you're practicing moves that are, here we'll slow it down, stretch, and you should hold that stretch. Always try and hold the stretch for a bit. You stretch behind there, stretch in front. I kind of rushed through the front stretch a bit, but you get the point. Like, you can leave that down there and stretch. And then when you're doing this, your elbows need to be down here, like that, and you're opening up the chest, opening up the joints to again, I look at this as it's a stretching out the biceps, stretching out the arms, and you're learning to develop a kind of this kind of whipping power, this whipping energy that you develop in Wing Chun over time. So that's what I sort of see this for. That's what I do when I'm practicing the form. That's how I view these movements. So they should be done with a certain amount of the idea that you're stretching when you're doing it, and you're training your body to do both things, one on each side, right? So you're ambidextrous, right? So your left and right are doing exactly the same thing. Your left side of your body and your right side of your body doing exactly the same thing, and that's how when you're doing the form in the front forward with the base over here, what you're actually doing is practicing symmetry, right, halfway down the body here. So if I draw this line down my body here, both sides of my body should be doing exactly the same thing. This isn't the case when you start shifting when you're doing the Siu Nim Tau, but anyway, so we'll keep going. Again, this is, people talk about these movements here, these double bilji as strikes. Yeah, maybe. I always look at it though as yes, they are movements, but they're also kind of ways of just perfecting your structure. Again, you're always pulling back with your shot, to this position 0 with your arms, and you come back behind your body. This is cross arm pak sao, palm strike again here. So again, when I'm practicing this, I'm not practicing it necessarily as an offensive move. I pull my fingers back and I push my palm forward there, and I bow my body when I'm doing this there. So when we add these flourishes, this is Hawkins stuff with the flourishes, with the wrist movements at the end of it. So pak sao, palm strike, my body is bowing at the same time, so you see my whole body is straight, my hips tucked in. So you practice these movements. I look at these as a kind of stretching movements. This is Tan Sao to Gan Sao there. The Gan Sao was the lower kind of block. Apparently that was put into the first one. There's a story about that I think it was Wong Chung Lun asked Yip Man, like, how do you block kicks? And Yip Man said, oh, you do it like that. And Wong Chung Lun said, well, can I put that into the first form? And I think Yip Man said yes. So that's one of the stories about why it's in there. Do I practice that to block kicks? No, again, I don't look at it that way. I look at all of these movements as ways of practicing alignment. Look here, hip, elbow connection. So Tan Sao here. I'm going to go down into Gan Sao. I'm just practicing keeping my elbow in position, and my forearm can kind of moves around. The forearm kind of moves around like that, but the into different positions, but the elbow should sort of stay in the same position or be in lock position. So that's what I'm thinking of when I'm doing these movements. I'm thinking of, right, I'm going to keep my elbow in the same position there. Palm strike again, come back. So now we're going to go into Bong Sao movement here. So I don't always practice this way. So I'm not really a fan of practicing Bong Sao like this, with the arm so far up. You see this in a lot of when you do the form traditionally, that the arm comes up like this, the elbow is raised up. The problem with that is the elbow is too far disconnected from the hip. I'm doing it this time just because, well, actually, to be honest, I've been watching a lot of Yip Man videos doing the Siu Nim Tau. So you don't need to feel beholden to tradition to do that. I don't necessarily always do it like this. I'm doing it for the time being. Again, I'm looking at this exercise, the Siu Nim Tau, as sort of a meditative stretching exercise, really. Again, palm strike there. Same thing here, Bong Sao, goes in, strike. So there you see this in the first form. No real good explanation as to why you do that, like brushing your arms down. Maybe it's you're pushing someone's grip away from you. Someone grabs your arm, and you can basically brush off their grip. I don't know. I do it anyway just because that's what I've been taught. Sometimes I might do practice the form without that in there, to be honest with you. Like, I don't think that you need to you need to stick to a form 100%. You can take bits out, you can isolate things, but anyway, it is good to, I do it sometimes just for the sake of tradition. Then this is the double punch, right? So this is in Hawkins' method. Hawkins would do this. Hawkins did the double punch. This is how I learnt it in the beginning. A lot of styles, they just do chain punching 1, 2, 3 at the end. We do double punch 3 times at the end. Again, you don't have to be too religious about this. It's good. I think the double punch is great because it's just helping you practice building your structure and building that kind of like punching motion and stretching at the same time. So you're just, again, and you're doing things ambidextrously, so you're doing things with both sides at the same time. So anyway, there you go. So I'm gonna practice that. You can look at other forms online, and if you like aspects of certain forms of certain lineages, then and it's always good to practice that. Be careful though when you're practicing your structure, because I think that there are good structures for the Siu Nim Tau and bad structures for the Siu Nim Tau, and the ones that look the most unnatural are probably not good. So this is how I do it. I have my legs straight like this. I think it helps build into body connectivity. And also I try to keep, so these are, it's kind of keeping your hips tucked in, keeping your shoulders down and your elbows in front of your hips. These are all absolutely crucial. If you're practicing a form that doesn't adhere to those principles, then it's probably not good, or you're not going to get much benefit out of it. So if whatever you're doing, keep those principles intact, and then you'd be all right. And what I've just done, the form that I've just done, the movements I've done, that's pretty. That's basically how Yip Man does the form, but with some extra flourishes that Hawkins put in as well. So that's just the way I practice it. Anyway, so review, practice by yourself, and really work on, make sure you're working on your posture and your elbow placement and keeping your shoulders down. And any questions, pop them below, and in the next video we're going to look at that second part of the form with shifting, so you can practice that as well. Alright, I will see you soon. Take care. Bye.